We provide solutions in four areas within the HR technology domain: operational HR management, also known as HRMS; strategic HR management, also known as talent management; talent acquisition, known as recruitment; and learning and development. Insan represents many of the leading innovative global HR technology vendors in the region. We sell, implement, and support the solutions in the region. Today's webinar topic is how technology can help in elevating employee engagement in the post-COVID-19 era. Our speaker today is Ben O'Sullivan. Ben is a business leader for Xoxoday in Europe, concerned with assisting other company leaders to build winning cultures in Europe. His career has been spent in technology-driven Fortune 100 environments such as IBM and VMware, and multiple VC-backed development stage and startup companies. He has international experience in various commercial roles as an individual contributor and in leadership, managing up to 30 staff in customer success management and sales directly and remotely. His early career was in engineering for Intel in Silicon Valley. Let me give you a quick introduction to Xoxoday. Xoxoday offers business software products to solve problems around employee rewards, recognition, and engagement. The software products are used by 700 plus global companies to engage their employees. Xoxoday's products are plug and play, highly scalable, easy to use, and help achieve tangible business outcomes. Now, without further ado, I will turn the time over to Ben. Over to you, Ben.
Thank you, Ashan, and good morning, good afternoon to everybody on the call. I wish you all a happy and successful new year and in all your endeavors. Today's topic, as prescribed to me by Ashan, is HR technology, the application of HR technology in employee engagement post COVID. So that's what I would like to focus on today, and hopefully share some data, some experiences, but also at the end of this call, provide you with a lot of reference material that you can use to consider your own strategies in 2021. Plus contact details, of course, for Ashan and indeed myself, if you want to have further conversations. Okay, so first of all, some data. This data is from the Josh Berzin Academy. Josh Berzin, many of you may know, is a I guess a HR rock star, if you like. I'm a big fan. He produces some great data. Here on the screen is some data from a survey that he did amongst 2,500 employers globally around last April or May, after several months of COVID. Okay, and this is what he expressed. He said the top issues on your minds in HR are essentially health and well-being, the management of remote work, and how to create engagement while working remotely. So this was a shift from previous times when maybe HR were more focused on recruitment and retention, for example. So it's pretty striking, and I'm sure very obvious to all of you at this stage. This is an interesting piece of data also, again from the Josh Berzin Academy, and where it looks to what is concerning employees. Okay, again, no great surprises here, but it's striking when confronted with the data. Globally, over 81% in total from different categories here are concerned about financial security. Again, from different categories, some 58% are concerned about health and well-being. And down here at the end, only 20% are concerned about productivity and work. So I guess the message here is, when we're considering an employee engagement approach or strategy or even technology, um, we cannot we cannot forget what the employees are concerned about. And I would encourage you to come back to this data um, when you set out on your journeys. So that was some global data that we looked at. I am based here in Europe, and I look closely at what European research is telling me. This was some. This data is from a survey carried out by a group called Fosway in the UK. Uh, from 250 or 220 professionals in HR, um, you know, they surfaced what are the measures of success that have been defined by leadership for HR. Uh, in Europe, which is a very mature market, employee engagement is is clearly um, is clearly outstripping everything else. Um, Employers are still concerned with recruitment and retention. So there is a race to be an employer of choice, especially in the high skills knowledge companies. And then critically and very interesting to me is um, leadership are asking HR to contribute or even lead digital ready cultures. Um, so that's a curious one or an interesting one. How it has become so high on the Pareto of success factors. So you know, Ashan asked me to speak about HR tech today, and I'm going to, assuming there's a range of um, skill sets and experience on the call, I'm going to speak a little bit about getting digital ready with HR tech. Um, First of all, what is it? I mean, it's very simply software that automates the HR function in organizations. Why? Um, Ultimately, to boost productivity and well-being. I think when you strip away everything else, all the features and functionality, that is a very clear purpose: is to boost productivity and well-being for better business outcomes. Maybe we have SMEs and medium-sized and large enterprises on the call. But here's an interesting fact: if you're new to HR technology, in the average large company, 9.1 HR tech applications are being used. So the message there is that it has become very, very complex. Um, but there is light at the end of the tunnel. There's a lot of consolidation in the market in terms of HR technology categories and applications, but also in terms of major players either merging or acquiring smaller solution players. So, then we ask ourselves about, when should I be digitally ready, or indeed what's going on at this time? It has been said that digital transformations were something that were on the 3 to 4 year horizon of companies. That is, transforming and moving everything to the cloud, et cetera, et cetera. But good or bad, COVID had the impact of, or had the effect of pulling in the digital transformation plans of a large majority of CIOs and CTOs into a 3 to 4 month horizon, as was mandated by the environment created by COVID. So, we all know, we all live on Zoom now, and many other technology functions were accelerated in by COVID as well. I think everybody will accept that. So a question is, how can how are we doing, or how is this being achieved? Okay, observations show that there are many legacy HR systems which may not have been used or not deployed, or so organizations have were mandated.
Ben, are you there? I think we lost you.
Um, or indeed were set out to uh, quickly replace technology which could never work, or um, procure a new technology for the environment that we're in today. Um, for me, you know, on digital transformations, be it financial or operational, or um, for data repositories or whatever, I think something that is very true is that if you can't adopt to change, change will eventually defeat you. This is a quotation that I read from somebody somewhere, and I can't recall who it was, but it's something to bear in mind. If you can't adapt to change, change will eventually defeat you um, on the on the competition for skills, or on the competition for productivity, etc. Okay, so then, if we're looking at employee engagement, you may ask yourself, and you're looking at a HR tech system, you may ask yourself, well, what do I want from that system? Um, and I put forward these four objectives that you should bear in mind, and indeed um, the environment of around those four objectives. So, we contend that um, from many choices that are out there, and many fragmented choices of employee engagement software, contend that all of these should allow you to connect, align your people in a culture, empower them with a voice, and critically motivate them intrinsically and extrinsically. And I would say that this you should find all of these objectives on a single platform, a social intranet platform. So something that looks and feels like an internal LinkedIn or an internal Facebook. But it's not enough to have these features. Its success will come from an environment where continuous virtual conversations and digital check-in are executed. Okay, so these are some objectives, a checklist, if you like, that I would keep in mind when you go to select a HR tech system. Again, it is people who are at the center of these employee engagement systems. So, I encourage you to consider the needs of your own employees. Um, to help, it's clear to us that what they're asking for is a holistic solution, fewer applications, fewer silos. Um, it ought to be feedback centric. Um, it ought to help clarify the goals. It ought to help clarify the purpose of the company, and focus on the everyday needs of the employees. Should be fun, should be social, um, and should be on desktop, but of course should also be on a mobile platform. while serving some of the needs that I spoke about on an earlier slide. Okay, so assuming that you have selected a HR tech platform, you might now be asking yourself, or as you select, you might be asking yourself, well, what will I do with it? What will my approach be with this new toy? Um, and what I want to share with you now is what we consider to be a best practice approach. Well, let me go back a little bit, and forgive me. Let me go back a little bit and talk about some of the things here in a little more detail. When I talk about connecting um, on a platform, the platform ought to have a news feed. It ought to share activities, share announcements. It ought to facilitate discussions and be fun. Okay. When I talk about aligning, um, this really is about aligning people around the company purpose and the company values. When I talk about empowering people, I talk about um, providing, I talk about executing pulse surveys, but also executing um, the surveys on an ad needs basis for whatever purposes you might have. Um, and then, finally, there ought to be feedback loops and feedback methods so that even the most remote, most reticent person in the company has a voice. With regard to motivation, we argue that a platform should have sophisticated features around uh, peer-to-peer recognition, around greetings for moments that matter, and also deliver monetary and non-monetary rewards. Okay, so let me continue with our approach then. So, in summary, here, what we argue is that you should take you could take this approach referred to as known as the Deming cycle principles. The notion is to measure employee net promoter score through surveys initially, um, read, understand, and act on the data that comes back. And I'm going to show you some examples. Act on the data that comes back, and in short, continue to repeat this every month or every um, 2 or 3 months, indeed, to um, improve the net promoter score, and ultimately to uh, to create an engaged employee, and a better culture in the company. Okay, so when we look at employee pulses, so if you buy into that approach, if we look at pulse surveys, what do they measure? Um, they can measure these. They can measure these so-called dimensions that employees are concerned with, from strategic connection, which is all about um, surveying my opinion on leadership, surveying my um, identification with the purpose of the company, surveying my feeling about the values in the company, etc., etc. So we refer to these as strategic dimensions, and indeed, from the surveys, bring back data against these dimensions for the HR professional to act on. Okay, so just very quickly, I'm showing you some screenshots from our own platform. I encourage you to examine any platform that you're looking for these kind of things. Um, does the platform surface net promoter score um, and the distribution of it? Down on the left, does it surface a scorecard against these dimensions and how they are improving, um, month on month, etc. Over on the middle right hand side here, uh, is your platform returning trends against these engagement dimensions? So, so let me show you something else. Okay, so we look at the you may have measured some dimension like uh, you may have measured on some dimension like strategic connect or hygiene factors. You may particularly have got feedback that psychological safety is running a little low in the company. People don't feel safe to speak out. So one of the things that our platform and other platforms do is um, is um, return recommendations on what to do with. I seem to have lost my position on this page, but returns recommendations on what to do exactly, so that you're not alone, so to speak. Um, and forgive me, I seem to have lost the recommendations on that, but I think you will get the idea anyway. Okay, so then what I inserted here was just a couple of screenshots to show you what to expect from a social intranet. Um, Employee engagement platform. Here's our own. In the middle, there's the town hall newsfeed um, with contributions from contributions from different people, but also um, announcements from leadership or indeed HR. On the left hand side, you should be able to establish groups by department or by function or social groups like cycling or buy and sell or things that are of interest to the employees. Users have an individual profile again, like any social intranet, and and here you can see lots of prompts on notifications, but also upcoming birthdays, etc., etc. So this is a user view, and then the purpose is to create a connection between people. Motivation was one of the four objectives that I talked about, and grab this screenshot here to show you how the kind of things that that, that go on these engagement platforms. Uh, Over here on the left-hand side, you can see an award section. Awards take many forms: um, direct awards, restricted awards, nomination-based awards, or um, spot awards, etc. Those awards are typically, can be monetary or non-monetary, for encouraging desired behavior against the company values. It's also possible to distribute or to tag any posts with value cards aligned to the company values, such as respect, innovation, customer centricity, etc. Uh, we have functionality also to distribute points. So these points are like currency, your local currency, which can be distributed for moments that matter, or indeed for performance-based rewards, or surprise and delight at a long weekend or at festivals. Um, Individuals may accumulate points and then redeem them later against gift vouchers or vouchers for experiences such as a day at the spa, a day at the golf club, uh, an adventure event, etc. Well, here's a little more on the on motivating with rewards and appreciations. Uh, there are a lot of reward providers out there, reward and redemption providers out there who position themselves as employee engagement. Um, Many are. I would encourage you to select one that can go across geos to cover your employees in all of your regions. In our case, we have 20 plus global reward choices in over 80 countries. So that's something to be aware of. And critically, these rewards and redemption are built inside the engagement platform as opposed to a separate standalone application. Uh, I'm sure many of you are select technology all the time. What I've put here for your later reference is a map of features on Xoxoday's platform called Impulse. Uh, and I've arranged them here in against those engagement objectives. So you might want to consider this when selecting a HR technology platform. Further to help, and we can share this application or this presentation afterwards. Here I've included some hyperlinks about the platform that we have or that you can procure through NSAP. These are hyperlinks that speak to some of the things that I covered, but go on to cover a little bit more than that, including case studies. I think there are 10 to 20 case studies here where of stories, if you like, of where our engagement platform was used to improve uh, productivity, engagement, business outcomes, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, thank you for listening.
Thank you, Ben. I think we will go ahead and take some time for questions now. Just a reminder, please be sure to type your questions into the question box in your control panel. And we'll wait for a few minutes to see if we have any questions from the audience. And meanwhile, you can get in touch with us through LinkedIn, and you all can connect with me as well, or visit our company profile. Feel free to type your questions in the question box. Okay, Ben, there's a question from Mohammed. He wants to ask that in many hostile organizations where critics are not welcomed, especially for a superior, can this engagement platform be deployed with anonymous users?
Yes, that's a great question. That's a great question. Um, and the consideration of anonymous feedback is something that has been out there for quite a while, and is certainly something that people should look for in an engagement platform. And indeed, we do cover that. Employees can, surveys are anonymous, for example, or can be made anonymous. And employees have the opportunity to provide anonymous feedback that I can declare is not discoverable. It's not discoverable on the platform where it came from or who it came from.
Great. I'm just assuming the rest of the people are typing in their questions, so we'll wait for another minute or so. We have another question that says that I'm also interested in customizing with gamification base where intrinsic motivation are reinforced and eventually leads to extrinsic rewards. So is
Sure.
that something that's possible?
Yeah, that's a great question as well. So I think it will be clear to anybody that um, an engagement platform is only as good as the engagement that it gets. Forgive the pun. That the engagement is only as good as the engagement that it gets from employees. Um, Platforms have looked at how to um, how to make that sticky, right? Um, for my part, um, this is something that you know should be led by leadership. If you are posting relevant content, relevant announcements, relevant relevant material, and then you make it engaging for employees, then these platforms are a great success across desktop and mobile. Um, on one of the approaches, and we take many approaches, one of the approaches that we take on our platform is to gamify the engagement. So each month, for example, or we maintain a league table of contributions. Um, uh, we maintain a league table of most engaged personnel, if you like, and that is measured from many factors, such as how many times they logged in, how many posts they answered, how many posts they made, how many questions they answered, etc., etc. So, so then points are distributed at the end of the month, or can be distributed at the end of the month to, to maybe the top three or top five as the company wishes to do so. So in this way, engagement is gamified, and it is rewarded um, with extrinsic um, rewards, or let's say monetary rewards. Um, from an intrinsic point of view, of course, the employees concerned are celebrated are celebrated on the platform. I hope that answers the question.
Great, thank you, Ben. I hope, Mohammed, that answers your question. There's another one coming up that says many organizations nowadays try to push users to innovate internally instead of relying on external consultant. Can something like an idea box be created with the help of Xoxoday?
Um, Perhaps you could repeat that question, Ashna. I think I understand it, but I want to be sure. Can you repeat that slowly, please?
Right. So many organizations nowadays try to push users to innovate internally instead of relying on external consultant. Can something like an idea box be created within the
Sure.
platform?
Sure. Yes, yes. I mean, if we we go back to some of the objectives here. A primary objective of these platforms is to connect. Okay, it's in first principles, it's a social intranet of individuals and groups. Um, earlier I showed how you can establish groups by function, by department, maybe by project, um, so that for argument's sake, let's say it's or by product or by technology. Um, so employees can collaborate um, on this platform in large groups or mini groups um, to, to, I suppose, put forward ideas, have discussions about innovation or et cetera, et cetera. So again, forgive me for making the comparison, but it's very like groups on LinkedIn or groups on Facebook, but clearly it's internal and private. So yes is the short answer.
Okay, and is it also possible to rate these ideas? Like, for example, if I, as an employee, put up an idea in that forum, and then can it be evaluated by the peers? Like, can it be rated, like maybe out of 5 or something like that? Is that possible with Xoxoday?
Yes, it is. I mean, when I look at how companies are using this platform, proposals are put forward in the news feeds in either the main company news feed or in the news feed of groups, and feedback is sought against those ideas. So that's clearly a very serial thing with a post and comments and more comments and replies, so that the discussion is centralized and public in the company or in the group, so to speak. So that is one approach and a common approach. Another approach is to create a survey um, inside the platform. So it's very trivial to create a short form of questions to be distributed amongst the employees or amongst all of the employees, or indeed amongst the group, say the technology group or the product group, to solicit for ideas. And typical survey data comes back.
Great, thank you, Ben. It looks like we have covered all our questions. Ben, is there anything else you want to highlight or cover up before we finish the webinar?
No, not at all. I just grateful for the invitation today, Ashna, and grateful for the time given by people on the call. Um, I, um, I know that Ashna is available to take any more questions. I certainly am available. You can find me via LinkedIn or via Ashna. Um, uh, I would say please ask for the presentation. We provide a lot more resources around our own solution in the marketplace, and we're here to help.
All right, great. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Ben, for making time for us. We appreciate you being here. Thanks again for joining us today, and we will see you next time.
See you next time. Take care.
Take care. Uh,